Yes, I will celebrate today because Rachel Notley has resigned. She was a bad leader, she was an unrighteous leader, and while in power, she did not obey the commands of the Lord Jesus Christ, and so her rule was characterized by immorality. Let's listen to her announcement.
Good morning, everyone. We're gathered today on the traditional territory of Treaty 6, and I also would like to acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a very deep connection to this land. Thank you all for coming out today. I know that our media notice was, a little vague, but I'm very excited that you've come out nonetheless to hear me talk about my 9-point plan to have you all visit albertasfuture.ca. Okay, fair to say that there is also another issue that I'd like to address through all of you to Albertans today. There's been a great deal of speculation since the election as to my future. While politics to the south of us would suggest I have at least 20 years left in my political career, I think the advisability of that's probably a bit debatable. More to the point, having considered what I believe to be the best interests of our party, our caucus, as well as my own preferences, I'm here today to announce that I will not be leading Alberta's NDP into the next election. I have informed both the senior officers of Alberta's NDP, as well as my caucus and staff, that upon the selection of a new leader, I will be stepping down from that role. This October will be 10 years since I was first given the honor of leading our party. At the time, we were the fourth party in the legislature with a massive caucus consisting of 4 MLAs. Less than 7 months later, we had a caucus of 54 MLAs and Alberta's first NDP government.
And we're still devastated by that rule and reign, the destruction and the damage that the NDP caused, like so many other governments caused, but the destruction that they caused over their short but all too protracted government caused the serious suffering of Albertans.
While many of those folks, and indeed myself included, never expected to be elected, let alone finding themselves in a government cabinet, we all scrambled quickly to live up to the immense privilege and responsibility the people of Alberta bestowed upon us.
And she didn't. Neither did the government. They did not live up to the privilege of serving Albertans precisely because their task, while in power, was not to serve Albertans. They thought better their task to serve the world, to serve the earth, to serve big government, to serve practically anyone but Albertans.
Now, we didn't get everything right, but we governed with integrity and ambitious agenda.
Integrity? She's going to talk about governing with integrity? The NDP, again, most governments for that matter, governing with integrity? The wasteful spending, the positions that Notley and her government took and continue to take for that matter on freedom, on rights. And she has the audacity to talk about integrity?
And an earnest desire to make life better for Albertans.
Again, if that is the goal, or if that was the goal, then you failed. And failed miserably. Miserably. Just look at their energy policy, for example. That's one of many examples. I'm sure she'll talk about it later, but the energy policies that Notley pursued while in power, again, decreased the flourishing, decreased the quality of life for Albertans.
And while this isn't the place to go down into a super deep policy rabbit hole, I will highlight just a few of the things that make me proud about my time as Premier. We approved and built the Calgary Cancer Centre, a decision that was at least a decade overdue. We stood up for the rights of working people, improving their access to unions, increasing their time off, protecting their safety in the workplace, and We were the first jurisdiction in North America to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Unions, for example, in the province are all too powerful, demonstrably socialist, and their objective, though publicly it's to defend their workers, in private, behind the scenes, is anything but. Rather, they're political activists who are promoting a radically left agenda to transform the society into one that's completely controlled by big government. Minimum wage, economically, is completely nonsensical, doesn't make any sense at all. You can prove it quickly with just a few graphs, one graph to be entirely honest. But of course, it looks politically righteous. And so the NDP is proud of raising the minimum wage.
Making a real difference in the life of Alberta's working poor and tens of thousands of young people and their families. We secured Alberta's first pipeline to Tidewater in over 50 years, ensuring that the return to Albertans for the sale of the resources that we all own is permanently increased. We eliminated coal-fired electricity in Alberta, thereby increasing the health of countless citizens, and at the same time kickstarting our renewable energy industry to be the fastest growing on the continent, all while significantly reducing our emissions in one fell swoop.
That is such nonsense. The idea that emancipating Alberta from all of this coal was a righteous thing to do is garbage. That is so wrong. Coal is excellent for base load electricity, for electricity that we always need. And you can burn coal whether it's minus 30 or plus 30. As we discovered last week, we need power. And we need power when it's minus 30 without the wind. We need power when it's minus 40 without the wind. For that matter, the wind wasn't blowing last week and the sun wasn't really shining. So thank heavens for natural gas or for the little bit of coal we had left because it was still burning, providing electricity to all of our homes while the wind turbines were standing still. Coal is cheap. Coal is abundant. We have clean burning coal in this province. We have scrubbers or had scrubbers on coal plants. And yet, in this ideological pledge to see that the entire world is conquered by this service, again, to Gaia, Notley thought it best to make sure Alberta was free of all of that cheap and reliable power. Thank you. Saving Albertans one person at a time. It's ridiculous.
And finally, in the midst of a recession caused by the international collapse in the price of oil, and seriously, folks, I did not cause that, we cut child poverty in half. But as I said, we didn't get it all right, and Albertans told us so in April of 2019. And I thought about leaving then, and there are many reasons that I did not. But the biggest is probably this. Too many people were declaring that the Alberta NDP was done, and more importantly, that Alberta was destined to revert back to being a one-party conservative state.
Notley's actually correct about this insofar as last election versus Smith. Notley was exceptionally close to winning. The election was much closer than Albertans probably realize. The election was tight. And so we're certainly not a one-party system in this province. No, the NDP is is a serious challenger. It's not a desirable challenger, but it's a serious challenger nonetheless.
And I knew that wasn't true. And I also knew that it would be awful for Albertans if they came to believe that it was. So 4 years later, last spring, we came so close to earning the right to lead Alberta again. We received the highest percentage of the vote that the Alberta NDP ever has. We won all of Edmonton. We won the majority of seats in Calgary.
Which is supremely concerning. Unbelievably concerning. The cities are turning into these socialist bases, these socialist headquarters where radicals packed into a dense, small, populated area try to dictate the rules and the regulations for the entire province and the entire country as a whole.
Increased our vote throughout the province, and we elected the largest official opposition in the history of this province. An opposition that is very, very ready, by the way, to take over the reins of government.
Oh, they certainly are. Power-hungry wolves, all of them, in legislature and in parliament. That's not a righteous thing to admit. It's precisely the opposite, as a matter of fact. Those who want government most should have at least. J.R.R. Tolkien understood that when he said the most improper job of any man, even saints, is bossing other men. Not one in a million is fit for it. Least of all, he who seeks the opportunity.
But it wasn't enough, and that's why it's now time for me to leave. But if there is any one accomplishment that I can leave behind me, it's that we are not a one-party province where Albertans have no real choice about how their province is to be run. Albertans do not ever have to feel that elections and their opinions do not matter. It was that way when I started. It's not that way anymore. Not only do I leave Albertans with that electoral choice, I also am so proud to leave them with a caucus that is filled with expert, dedicated, diverse people supported by the hardest working and most skilled political staff in the country.
Experts? Experts in what? They are experts in the lust for power. That much is true. But experts in what else? I certainly haven't heard any expertise being promoted by her caucus in the legislature.
Our NDP team will not stop fighting to make life better for all Albertans.
She's right about that too. They won't stop fighting. There's one thing the NDP are or aren't. It's indifferent. They're relentless. They have an objective and they're driving towards it as fast as they can. They will keep pushing and they're going to push harder and harder and harder every single day. We can't give them an inch because, as the saying goes, they'll take a foot. They're ruthless. They want power. They crave power, as most politicians do. And they have a burning desire to watch their policies, as Orwellian as they are, impressed upon Albertans.
We will fight to protect and improve our healthcare, to stand up for our children's right to a world-class education, to fix the housing crisis, to keep Albertan CPP safe, and to confront the reality of climate change. Now, roughly 10 years ago today, I started talking to my kids about how they'd feel if I decided to run for the leadership of Alberta's NDP. Roughly 15 years ago today, 12 years today, 10 years ago today, I listened to my husband tell me that he thought I should run for the leadership of Alberta's NDP. In both cases, my family got quite a bit more than they'd bargained for. It's been a crazy ride, but I couldn't have done it without them. I was raised by both my father and my mother to believe that public service is it's something that you should strive for throughout your life. I wish they could have been here to see some of what we've all been able to accomplish together. Either way, it wouldn't have happened. For me, without the examples that they both set, demonstrating daily the value of hard work, compassion for neighbors, the duty of compassion for neighbors, and the importance of social democratic convictions. And to all the volunteers, the activists, the donors, the canvassers, the past and current and future in Alberta's NDP, thank you. There would be no success without you. You are the strength and the foundation of our movement, and I will be forever humbled by your selfless dedication to our province. Short of having, raising, and of course regularly debating with my family, the opportunity to serve this party and this province has been the honor of my life. Over the last decade, Albertans have given me a tremendous opportunity to serve in this role, and I'm so grateful. The people of our province are bold, friendly, open, caring, and adventurous. I've learned so much from them. The land we share is the most beautiful and also sometimes the coldest place on earth. I also want to thank the people of Edmonton Strathcona who have supported me since 2008. We all live in and part of a fabulous community, and I'm so proud to call it home. Thank you to all the Albertans I've met along the way. Those who advised me, who supported me, who disagreed with me, and yes, even campaigned against me. We all love this province. I love this province, and I know that our best days. Thank you, and I'm happy to take, I don't know, one or two questions.
So, Rachel Notley's era of ruling the NDP is over. Her era of ruling that party and, for a time, ruling Alberta is over. But we're not foolish. We're not blind. We know that government, caucus, parties, perhaps the NDP in particular, is a hydra. Remove one head, two more grow in its place. Remove one leader, two more, probably more radicalized, if that's possible, bureaucrats will be there to take Notley's place. Remove Rachel Notley, two more, four more, 8 more, 16 more bureaucrats who hate the Lord Jesus Christ in an even stronger fashion will be ready and are ready to assert themselves in positions of power. But we know how all of this ends. We know that the Lord Jesus Christ is coming back soon. So even if the NDP or the Liberals or the Conservatives or other governments appoint leaders who are opposed to truth and righteousness and justice, it doesn't matter insofar as the end of history has already been written. They won't win. They're not going to win. Christ is ruling right beside the Father in heaven, and he is returning, not as a babe in a manger, but as a mighty conqueror on a white horse with a golden sash around his chest, eyes like blazing fire, feet like bronze glowing in a furnace. So let our politicians, let our parties do what they may, do what they would do to completely destroy what's righteous and just in this world. They won't win. They've already lost.